Happy Saturday. Welcome in. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles. Thank you for tuning in, making us a part of your Saturday morning. Alex, it has been a busy and an exciting week here in Utah. Of course, Tuesday night and Wednesday night, the NBA draft, first and second round. Then last night, the NHL draft. A lot of buzz around the state of Utah. The future's looking bright here in Salt Lake City. But how was your week?
Week was good, man. Obviously, doing a lot of stuff here at the station. Was super excited for the NBA draft. Watching a lot of sports, a lot of soccer. Good week, man. Good week overall.
World Cup going on. You and I were talking. We jinxed Team USA.
We did a little bit.
They lost.
They lost to Turkey.
Turkey.
Massive controversy over whether or not it's Turkey or Turkey.
It doesn't need to be. It's Turkey.
Love it.
But yeah, it was a fun week. And of course, I mean, we'll just jump right in, man, with the selection of Darryn Peterson by the Utah Jazz Tuesday night. Taking him second overall. I think looking back, it's not a surprise, right? During the draft process, it's funny, the cycle, from the lottery until draft night, it's a month and a half. And you have so much time to kind of talk yourselves into every possible scenario. And you have it in your mind that all these crazy things are going to happen. And then draft night comes and it goes chalk for not even just the top 4 picks, but for probably the first 8 or 9 picks.
Right.
It goes pretty much chalk.
Pretty much what you expected, yeah.
So there was a sect of Jazz fans that really thought they were going to get Cam Boozer. But at the end of the night, it's Darryn Peterson. And it always has been Darryn Peterson.
Absolutely. And, going into the draft week and going back to the reporting of, Darryn Peterson canceled his workouts with the Jazz, and him and his camp putting out that they were confident that he would go number one. And it's interesting to me how quickly and how fast things change from, Darryn Peterson and his camp feel like they're going to go number one, to Monday when we get to the draft availabilities, to having a couple draft analysts here on the station. The tone changes, right? Yeah. The week before that, it's like, is Darryn Peterson going to go number one? Is AJ going to fall number 2 to the Utah Jazz? And then quickly on Monday, it feels like, it's probably going to go chalk. Darryn Peterson's going to be a Utah Jazz man. Sure enough, the number 2 pick rolls around. The commissioner, Adam Silver, Palpatine, jumps up and says, hey, you know what? With the number 2 pick, the Jazz take Darryn Peterson. And you felt it was coming.
I'm glad that you bring that up, because listening to the media availability sessions, shout out to my guy Ben Anderson, our Jazz insider for KSL Sports. We sent him to New York. He did great work. And Monday was kind of like a media day for all of the prospects. And so Ben went to, he went to Darius Acuff, Cam Boozer, AJ Debonsa, Darryn Peterson. And it was a very clear change in Darryn Peterson's attitude Monday, and then Tuesday when we got to hear from him after he was selected by the Utah Jazz. He seemed like a completely different person this week. And it seemed like Monday he had accepted that he was coming to the Jazz. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, to your point, he was convinced he was going number 1. There was a time where he thought he was going to be the number 1 pick. Somewhere along the line, it was communicated to him that the Wizards were taking AJ Debonsa number 1 instead. So he turns to Utah, the number 2 team. He says, okay, I'm a Jazz man. And I think that was very obvious beginning on Monday.
Yes.
Like if I were to have bet.
I mean, just going back and hearing his comments, right?
Yes.
Of the media availabilities down there that you guys played on your show, Jake and Ben, and it felt to be that way.
Yes. And Ben asked a question towards the end. It's a really funny moment in this media availability. Ben said something about, hey, the Utah Jazz are ready to win now. If you go there, do you feel like you're ready to help them or whatever? And Darryn looks at Ben and he's got a big grin on his face and he says, yeah. And I saw that and I knew. Yeah. I knew. I was like, okay, he's a Jazz man. Yeah. Then it comes out that, the Jazz traveled to Canton, the Jazz front office, Austin Ainge and whoever else. Went to Darren's hometown, Canton, visited with him and his family, got to know them, and basically made sure that they were ready to take him. And they do. It's an easy choice. And it sounds like from around what people had been saying, nobody in the NBA was really scared of the medical concerns, the cramping issues that Darryn struggled with at Kansas. And I know that was the big red flag. That's the whole reason why he was available to the Jazz at 2.
Right, and that got alleviated too after Austin Ainge's press conference, right? With you again, big shout out to Ben who asked him about the process of how the medical reports work and kind of that pre-draft process, and then Austin Ainge kind of goes into detail about how they have their own team and their own specialists. They look over everything. They do their own reports and whatnot. And after hearing Austin Ainge kind of break down the process and kind of go through what happens with the medical history stuff, that kind of, I think, eased things for me as far as the cramping situation and the questions around Darryn Peterson's availability and what he's going to be able to do at the NBA level.
Yeah, so stay tuned because Darryn Peterson's introductory press conference is going to be today at 12 p.m. Normally we wrap the Saturday show at 12, but today the boss above is letting us go a little longer to carry this presser, and then we'll be able to talk about it a little bit after. So we'll plan on going till maybe 12:30, 1 today, but definitely stay tuned so you can hear the newest member of the Utah Jazz, Darryn Peterson, because it's an exciting day. I mean, this is, the Jazz have not had the number 2 overall pick since the early 80s. It's been an extremely long time. And when you look at the players that they have drafted, in top 5, it's easy to say Darryn Peterson is the best prospect out of all of them. Thinking of like Enes Kanter and Darren Williams. Darryn Peterson is supposed to come in and be the face of the franchise, right? And so it's a new era for the Utah Jazz. I mean, Ben Anderson, Jake and Ben were talking about it on Monday. Like, this is a guy who, if everything works out, he could potentially finish as a top 5 player in Utah Jazz history, right? So
I think I would agree, yeah.
And that's, if he stays the course and becomes the player that he is supposed to be and live up to these expectations. So it's a huge, huge selection for the Jazz. And it just shows how much luck plays onto your side, because the Jazz, of course, finished tied for the 4th best record in the league with Sacramento. They win the coin toss,
yes,
and then they get lucky enough to move up to number 2 in the lottery. So everything falls the Jazz's way this draft cycle.
Absolutely, and it was a good spot for the Jazz to be in overall, because when you come in second, and I know everybody wants the coveted number 1 overall pick, and everybody wants to go. All the fans wanted the lottery to go in the way the way of the number 1 pick, but in reality, you're in a good spot with the number 2, especially with the crop of players that you see here. Mm-hmm. You allow Washington to make the decision, right? Make them be the ones who have to question whether or not to take Darryn Peterson, whether or not to take AJ DeMonso, whether or not to take Cam Boozer. Have them make the decision, and then ultimately take the what you believe is the next best player. And I think ultimately the player that the Jazz wanted fell to them anyway.
Yeah. So we'll see, how long it takes Darryn Peterson to hit the ground running, right? Donovan Mitchell became essentially the face of the franchise's rookie year. And yes. I don't know if that's fair to expect from Darryn Peterson, given where the team is at right now, but it's definitely up there for the taking. And there's always going to be comparisons to Donovan Mitchell as long as he is here, as long as Darryn Peterson's here, because he was the face of the last, iteration of the Utah Jazz. And then they're both scoring guards, right? So I've seen a lot of people talking about, somebody on social media was saying, like, if Darryn Peterson becomes Donovan Mitchell, then the rebuild was a failure. And I don't know if I really agree with that. I mean, Donovan Mitchell was a fringe top 10 player, right? With this, even right now, but he was with his time with the Jazz, and they had the best record in the NBA one year. They never got out of the second round of the playoffs, and you can nitpick Donovan Mitchell's struggles in the playoffs for sure. But if you draft anybody, no matter where you're picking them, and they become a top 10 player in the NBA, I'd say that's a hit. That's a home run.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go as far to say that if he just becomes, a Donovan Mitchell, that it's a failure. I think you have to more so factor in, of course, how far the Jazz get into the playoffs, because I think if you're having a conversation about Darryn Peterson and this Utah Jazz team who can't get over the hump, similar to what you saw that iteration of the Utah Jazz, then maybe we do have that conversation. But I think ultimately, right, if this guy's getting multiple All-Stars, multiple All-NBA selections, and reaching the levels of Donovan Mitchell, I think the rebuild was absolutely worth it.
And to be honest with you, Alex, the truth is Darryn Peterson's ceiling is even higher than a Donovan Mitchell type.
It does feel that way, absolutely.
Because he's a much more complete player. He plays defense. There were a lot of draft experts saying out of the top 4 players, he was the best defender day one. AJ DeBonsa could be that given his length and his athleticism. But you got to remember, too, Darryn Peterson's a lot bigger than Donovan Mitchell. Peterson's 6'6", and Ben's been talking a lot about how seeing Darryn Peterson in person, he's a lot bigger than you would think or expect. He's much more along the lines of, an SGA, like a tall, long guard. And he's got the plus wingspan that everybody looks for. And he can shoot it from deep. He can get to the rim. He can score really from anywhere. He's a really complete player. So when I talk about comparing to Donovan Mitchell, it's not saying he is going to be Donovan Mitchell level. It's saying that, the ceiling is there. The ceiling could be even higher.
Right. And I mean, if you're just talking about the floor of what Donovan Mitchell accomplished with the Utah Jazz, I mean, you're still talking about a player who had 3 consecutive All-Star selections.
Yeah. And the second round playoff exits, I mean, I get that Donovan was the quote-unquote best player on the team.
Right.
But the rest of the team was flawed.
Exactly.
Right? It's not... Donovan was not the only reason that they couldn't get out of the playoffs.
I don't know if you can say that. I mean, obviously, we still have to go out and see this team, how they perform on the court. We have to go and see how they do this upcoming season. But on paper, I mean, this team already looks a little bit more well-rounded than that iteration of the Utah Jazz.
And well-rounded is a good way to put it.
Yeah, because of the Walker Kessler. Obviously, his situation is still up in the air, but operating with the assumption that Walker Kessler will be in a Utah Jazz uniform next season, Walker Kessler, Jaren Jackson Jr., Larry Markkinen, and then I think any combination of Darryn Peterson, Keontae George, and Ace Bailey at the guard positions, that looks like a winning team on paper to me, man.
Yeah,
and it does look a lot more well-rounded than the team that had an NBA high record back during the right after the bubble season, and then obviously everybody remembers how that ended.
Right, and well-rounded again. Much better way to put it. It's hard to sit here right now and say that it's a better team because, we have not seen them in the playoffs. This is a team that 2 years ago had the worst record, or I guess a calendar year ago, had the worst record in the NBA. This year, 22 wins, right?
Right.
So it's hard to sit here and say that, this team is better than that previous team. But it feels like the potential is there for sure. And I'm glad that you bring up the rotation between Keontae, Ace Bailey, and Darryn Peterson and what's going to happen there because you essentially have 2 guard spots for 3 players. Somebody's going to move to the bench. Now, there was a lot of speculation immediately what this means for Keontae George. And that kind of took me by surprise. There were some people speculating that the Jazz were going to have to trade Keontae George now. Like, because of the selection of Darryn Peterson, you've got to trade Keontae. And I don't agree with that at all.
I don't either.
That's really, really premature to me. You don't have to move anybody yet because Darryn Peterson's a rookie. Not to mention Ace Bailey, we know that the potential is there for him and the ceiling is there for him, but by no means has he arrived either, right? Nothing is guaranteed for Ace. So you've got a long ways to go before you say, okay, we've got a real surplus of talent and we've got to make a trade. And what I would tell you is that if everything goes the way that the Jazz want, I don't think it's Keontae or Darryn or Ace that's coming off the bench, Reading between the lines, I don't want to name names because we're still a whole at least year out from having to make this decision. If somebody gets traded, it's not one of those 3.
I would agree. And I mean, the steps that you saw from Keontae George, I think merits the conversation of him being a part of that trio, regardless.
Or at least getting a shot at it.
And absolutely. And I can't remember if we talked about it last week, Christian, or maybe 2 weeks ago, but we want to see the consistency from Keontae George, right? You see the steps that he's taken over the course of of his career so far. And I mean, 2 years ago, we were talking about how his best role might be a 6-man coming off the bench.
Yeah.
But then he takes this massive leap into what was last season, despite the Jazz being in a spot where they don't want to win games, he still proved a lot and showed a lot. So now if he can carry that into next season and improve upon that, then I think that again, he's merited his opportunity to be a part of the three trio that we're talking about with Ace, with Darryn, and with Keontae George.
Yeah, there's not an odd man out yet.
No.
And I think, you can believe, you as a listener can believe whatever you want about Keontae George. I know a lot of people had a really strong opinion about him after his second season. So before this most recent season, before his breakout year, there was kind of a consensus opinion that Keontae George was not really a fit in Utah. And I totally get it. I understand. And to be honest with you, I was on board with that. But then this third season comes around and Keontae has this amazing breakout. And it's like the switch flipped. There were real concerns about his maturity and about his leadership and about his attitude and about if he really wanted it going into his third year. And I would say he answered those questions. And if it was a test, he passed with flying colors. He came out and he was a completely different, not just player, but person. He seems mature. He seems grown up.
Oh, and the leadership.
And the leadership is there. And the Jazz are rewarding him for it because you look at all of these social media videos that the Jazz are putting out, all these workout videos, all these videos of the draft room. And who's there in all of the videos?
Keontae George.
It's Keontae George. I think the Jazz are making a clear effort of putting Keontae front and center and saying, hey, this is a dude that we invested in. And, Coach Hardy kind of gave some pushback, right? It's not a secret that there was a little bit of, I don't even want to say contention between Will Hardy and Keontae George, but it's just as the head coach of the team, Will Hardy challenged Keontae George to be better and grow up a little bit. And Keontae answered that challenge, and he did. So now the Jazz are saying, okay, we've got this guy that we believe is a dude. And you got to take it out next season and prove that you can do that on a winning team, right? But I think it's very, very premature to start talking about trading Keontae to make room for Darryn Peterson.
Absolutely.
That's
and
just it's not that.
Absolutely. And especially, again, something that we mentioned was the fact that Will Hardy has mentioned time and time again that the minutes, the opportunities have to be earned. And, I know he's the number 2 overall pick, and I know that there's so much potential there, but I don't think it's going to be any different when it comes to Darryn Peterson as far as you got to go out there and you have to earn those opportunities. You have to earn those minutes, and you have to earn being a part of that 3 trio that we're talking about. It's not just going to be, hearing from Will Hardy in the way he's operated before with giving the young guys the opportunity. I don't think he's just going to give them the opportunities up on a silver platter.
Right.
He's going to have to grow into it and earn his opportunity and earn his spot, because the Jazz right now with all that young talent, they've gone through, the last couple of years of the rebuild, and to me it would be a little bit unfair to immediately unseat Keontae George after the leaps that he's taken for your number 2 overall pick.
Yeah, I if I were to predict the Jazz's starting 5 right now to begin the season, I would think that it's going to be Keontae, Ace, Lowry, Tripp, and Walker Kessler. Just because, to your point, Will Hardy has said and shown us multiple times that, just because you're a highly touted rookie doesn't mean that you have to start day one. And maybe Darryn Peterson enters the starting lineup by midseason or even before then. Who knows? Because he is a phenomenal talent, right? But it's funny kind of nitpicking who the starting 5 is going to be. Like, it doesn't matter. They're all going to get their minutes.
Right.
And I know that guys want to be starters, and I know that whoever comes off the bench as the 6th man is going to be a little unhappy and want to show that they can be a starter. Number one, that's a good thing. You want to have that fire, that chip on the shoulder, right? But number 2, as I said, you can have 3 guards getting 30 minutes a night, right? Keontae George is going to have his opportunities. Ace Bailey is going to have his opportunities, and Darryn Peterson is going to have his opportunities as well. One of them is just going to be getting them off the bench, and that's totally fine.
And I think one of the positive things that you can look at as far as the Utah Jazz is the fact that it doesn't seem like there is any gargantuan egos of people wanting to have the ball and wanting to have those minutes.
Yeah.
And I think, again, that's credit to Will Hardy, the coaching staff, to leaders like Keontae George for establishing that culture already. I don't think there's really any player on the roster that I can think of that has openly come out and been upset at his usage or has been upset as the way that that things were going. And again, it doesn't seem like there's that many overinflated gargantuan egos on this team. And I think everybody can be everybody can head into that locker room and be on the same page. And I think that's just important, is having the talent of the players like Darryn Peterson, like Ace Bailey, like Isaiah Collier, like Cody Williams, and everybody else on that roster.
Yeah, it's go time, dude. It is go time. And I know everybody here in Salt Lake City is really excited to see what the Jazz can do, especially in this first year post rebuild. And I think that's the good thing with Darryn Peterson. You hear about like the trip to Canton that Austin took out there, and some of the things he was doing was showing Darryn Peterson like the environment at the Delta Center when it's rocking, and saying, this can be yours. And I was thinking about this, like, if Darryn Peterson becomes anything close to the player that we're expecting, he's going to have Salt Lake City in the palm of his hand. Like, that's just what you get when you are the face of the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
Or at least when they're good. If the Utah Jazz are a playoff team, this city goes absolutely feral for its star players.
Oh, I mean, you've seen it.
We've seen it time and time again with every iteration, with John and Carl, with Carlos and Darren, with Rudy and Donovan, and all those teams in between, even with Gordon Hayward. Like, when they are good, these fans care, and they are passionate, and they will support you and embrace you with open arms. And I know that there's the narrative about what Utah does to black star athletes, and it's not true. If you come here and win, we don't care what color you are,
Yeah.
We don't care about your background. And it doesn't need to be this whole political thing.
Right. I remember being in that arena in that season where the Jazz had the best record in the NBA.
Yes.
And for one of those playoff games, man, and that environment was insane. I am excited for Jazz fans to be able to experience playoff basketball in Delta Center again.
Yeah.
Because again,
we're all excited.
Because again, Utah shows up. And,
yes.
And now that Darryn Peterson, I mean, you saw the videos yesterday of him arriving. That hangar was full.
That was funny.
That hangar was full of people, and everybody was excited, and everybody wanted a picture with Darryn Peterson. Everybody wanted his signature. Like, everybody's already on board with Darryn Peterson. And I think, honestly, no matter who the Jazz would have selected, anybody would have been on board with anyone, because Utah shows up, and they embrace the people who come here.
Yeah, and they recognize that this is a big deal, that this dude has the potential to be one of the best players in franchise history.
Absolutely.
And lead the Jazz to the elusive championship that they have not been able to experience yet, and have the parade downtown and all the fun stuff, bring the Utah Jazz back to the conversation in the top of the NBA. And those are lofty expectations to be sitting talking about before this dude has even stepped on the court yet as an NBA player. But that's the caliber of prospect we're talking about with Darryn Peterson.
How do you feel about the comparisons already for Darryn Peterson when it comes to the Booker comparisons and the Kobe Bryant comparisons? And shout out to @Osteomath on Twitter for sending in this tweet. Peterson as the next Spida, more like Baby Booker, Kid Kyrie, or aspiring Ray Allen. And that just reminded me of all the comparisons that I've seen this week about Devin Booker, about his love for Kobe and the tattoo that he got. I've seen it already. People throwing out Mountain Mamba. I've seen it on Twitter. And then of course the Kyrie Irving comparisons.
Comparisons are hard because sometimes you see what you want to see, and then there are real.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, man.
Exactly.
You see what you want to see.
But there are also real cases of like players legitimately modeling their game after somebody. And in the sense of Darryn Peterson, where he does have a similar size and build to Kobe Bryant, and he clearly loves him enough to go get a tattoo. Like, Jason Tatum adores Kobe Bryant to an annoying extent, honestly. But Jason Tatum absolutely adores Kobe Bryant. He doesn't play anything like he's a completely different build than Kobe. Darryn Peterson is like a carbon copy, at least size and weight and build and all that and length. And I don't know if he thinks that he can be Kobe Bryant, then great, go out there and be Kobe Bryant. Yeah. I definitely think that his skill level is there. But also the way the NBA is played right now is a lot different than even when Kobe was in the league 10 years ago. Like it's just,
absolutely.
Your shooting guard plays much differently. I think SGA is a really good comp. I think Devin Booker is a really good comp. Comps are scary because sometimes you can, I mean, we're sitting here talking about him potentially becoming a top 5 player in franchise history, but at the same time, like, comps can be scary because then you expect him to become Kobe Bryant. And those are lofty expectations.
Comps are scary, but I think, it gives the casual viewers and the casual fans a little bit an idea of what players bring.
That's true. That's fair.
And so that's where I stand with comparisons, and the way that I look at it, I do enjoy the comparisons of, like, to Devin Booker, to seeing people and questioning if he can be as special as Donovan Mitchell, or as special as Kyrie without the attitude, right? I do like those comparisons, but I think more so looking at it from just from at Darryn Peterson, it's hey man, go out there and have players model their game after you. You be the next guy, right? You be the next guy. Forget the comparisons to Devin Booker. Forget the comparisons to Kobe Bryant. Go be your own guy.
All these Utah kids.
Go be that next guy that, in 10 years when we're looking at the 2020 or the 2036 NBA draft, we're saying this guy plays like Darryn Peterson.
Exactly, dude. And you know what? To that point, I mean, that's what Donovan Mitchell was when he was here. Like,
Donovan Mitchell got to that level. I will say that.
And every kid wanted the Donovan Mitchell shoes, and every kid wanted to play just like Donovan Mitchell. And now Darryn Peterson comes in, and he gets to be that.
Yeah.
And
I say that mostly, too, because it does feel like the talent is there for Darryn Peterson to be that special, to get to that
You're not
potential.
saying that about Isaiah Collier. No offense to him.
But I love Isaiah Collier.
We all like Isaiah Collier.
he brings good stuff.
But we're talking about different calibers of players.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think Darryn Peterson has that ceiling, has that potential, and the Jazz. I think every Jazz fan should be absolutely ecstatic that they were able to get Darryn Peterson at number 2.
I think every Jazz fan is. Well, I shouldn't say that. This was a controversial pick, because of Kansas. The year at Kansas was so tumultuous because of the cramping and the substitution and things like that. That there are a lot of people that have preconceived notions of Darryn Peterson simply because of that. And, no matter what we say on the radio or what real experts like Ben Anderson say, like, there are people who are scared of this pick. And so it's going to become, okay, DP, come out and show us. He said his goals are to play an entire 82-game season as a rookie. And I think that's a great thing for him to say.
Great goal.
Prove everybody wrong.
Absolutely. Great goal. Ultimately, man, at the end of the day, like, you can't please everybody. I know that there's, a couple fans out there who really wanted AJ. I know there's, that the handful of fans that really wanted Cam Boozer. At the end of the day, you can't please everything. But you know what's going to fix that, Christian?
What's that?
Winning.
Winning cures all.
Winning cures all.
That's what they say.
Winning fixes everything.
You know what? Let's take a break. Coming up next, we'll hear a couple cuts from draft night. We got a lot of good sound from Darryn Peterson. Kind of setting the stage for his big presser coming up at noon. And then after that, we're going to switch gears. NHL draft was last night. The Utah Mammoth made a big trade. We're going to talk about that coming up at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. But stick with us. We'll talk more DP coming up on the other side. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
With the second pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Utah Jazz select Darryn Peterson from the University of Kansas.
There you go. That was the moment that everything in Salt Lake City changed on Tuesday night. Welcome back. It is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Big week for the Jazz as they take Darryn Peterson, number 2 overall, Tuesday night. Just a reminder, we are going to be playing his introductory press conference. That's coming up live here at 12. DP touched down in Salt Lake City last night. There was a giant contingent of Jazz fans out there meeting him at the airport hangar. Was that at Salt Lake International Airport?
I'm assuming it was.
How do you get to the hangar?
I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know how you get out there.
Yeah.
Are there like signs like Darryn Peterson plane landing this way?
I did see a lot of people online asking how people got invited to said event. And more people wanting to go. And again, that just goes back to what we were saying earlier with these guys show up for their guys, man. Now that Darryn Peterson has been selected by the Utah Jazz, that is one of their guys, and they're going to show up for Darryn Peterson.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because he's expected to come in and take over this team, this franchise, and lead them into great things.
Absolutely.
It is the next generation. He is the ticket out of the rebuild, right? The 4 losing seasons for the Utah Jazz, and they got a couple. Taylor Hendricks helped turn into Jaren Jackson Jr. Cody Williams, jury's kind of out on what he will become. Keontae George, I guess I'll count him. He was part of the trade package, right? So they got him, and then Ace Bailey and now Darryn Peterson. I know there were a couple other players selected, right? Like Flip and Collier and Sensabaugh, but
I think that's just credit to the front office, to guys like Justin Zanuck, guys like Danny and Austin Ainge, for what at this moment seems like they drafted right.
For the most part, yeah.
They've drafted right. They've drafted players. They've drafted picking up players that can possibly be the depth pieces of a team that can be NBA contenders, right? When you look at guys like Isaiah Collier, at guys like Kyle Filipowski, guys like again Cody Williams and Bryce Sensabaugh, whatever their futures may be with the Utah Jazz, right now it seems like, for the most part, Justin Zanuck and that front office have done a really good job of drafting right.
But Darryn Peterson's the ticket out.
He's
all those other guys are fine and cool, and Keontae, again, not really including, because he wasn't like the Jazz's pick from tanking.
Right.
He was included in a trade package, that pick was. So I'm technically not really counting that. But I'm looking at Darryn Peterson and, to a lesser extent, Ace Bailey, because they got him after having the worst record in the NBA. Those are your 2 tickets for tanking.
Yeah, why do you tank for 4 years?
To get talent.
To get Darryn Peterson, to get Ace Bailey.
Yeah, and if Keontae George proves to be a guy, then you're sitting real nice.
Absolutely.
So you talk about Darryn Peterson going number 2, and that creates an interesting storyline in and of itself because of the number 1 pick, AJ DeBonsa, and we know that they have a history. We know they played several times in high school and in some of these, national tournaments and whatever, and they played in college. And to be honest with you, I don't know the exact stat, but if I'm not mistaken, Darryn Peterson got the best of AJ DeBonsa every time they played, at least on record. And they both thought they were going number 1, at least until Washington told AJ that it was going to be him. So now entering the NBA, there is a real rivalry between AJ DeBonsa and Darryn Peterson. And of course, with AJ's ties to BYU, that makes it even more interesting. But I think that was one of the big takeaways from Tuesday night, from hearing Darryn Peterson and some of the things that he had to say. He's coming in with a chip on his shoulder because he didn't go number 1 overall. And he was asked about that during his first interview with Salt Lake Market here on the KSL Sports Zone with the Roundtable Show. This is what he had to say about having a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, I'm super motivated by it, but it's behind me now. I can't go back and change anything, but now I'm with the Jazz, and I'm super excited to get there. And it'll definitely keep this chip on my shoulder throughout my whole career, and I'll take it out on everybody, not just that guy in particular.
And it's cut right there, but the entire draft roundtable laughed.
Yeah.
Because, of course,
that's
content.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, you know what he's talking about. You know who he's talking about.
You know who he's talking about.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Again, with AJ's ties to BYU, that just makes it even more juicy.
I know that we spend a lot of the pre-draft process, throwing shots at the Wizards and the organization, questioning, right, if Trae Young and Anthony Davis were the right moves, and how things are ran in Washington, and but now that they have AJ DeBonsa, now that they've got the number 1 overall pick, and they picked AJ, and AJ's going to join that team, I want the Wizards to do well. Truly, I want them to do good. So then that way, that you can build a little bit of some type of like East-West rivalry with the Wizards because of the ties with AJ DeBonsa and because of the Wizards and the Jazz fans going at each other in the pre-draft process over who's going to take what and where things landed. Because I think this can ultimately be fun. And I think, again, with the Darryn Peterson comments is about the chip on the shoulder, not just that one guy in particular, I think that could be a fun and entertaining rivalry.
Yes.
Between the Wizards and the Jazz.
Throughout their careers. A little bit of a I'll see you in the finals, maybe.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Stuff like that. And it'll be an entertaining rivalry, no doubt in my mind. And so again, I kind of hope that the Wizards do well to make it even more fun if the Jazz and the Wizards when the Jazz and the Wizards do meet in the NBA Finals. Something along those lines.
There were even clips of like AJ DeBonsa leaving the hotel to head to the draft, and he's walking down the stairs, and he's got his fit on, and he's feeling himself, and he's mean mugging everybody, looking all, I'm ready to be the number one pick. He goes up and he hugs somebody. I don't know who the woman was. It was a woman. And then Darryn Peterson is standing right behind this woman, and AJ totally ignores Darryn Peterson. DP says something, and AJ is like, okay, fine, I'll dap you up, but he doesn't even look at him. Mm-hmm. He doesn't even make eye contact with Darryn Peterson. It's just kind of a quick dap up. I'm too cool for you. I'm about to be the number one pick. And it's just little things like that, dude. Like, these two players, I don't want to say they hate each other. I don't think anybody hates each other in the NBA anymore. But I think that it's very clear that there's a competitive rivalry between these two. And part of it comes out of respect because they both realize how talented the other player is, right? If Darryn Peterson beat AJ DeBonsa every single time they played, the reason he cares about him is because he recognizes how good AJ DeBonsa is. And AJ DeBonsa, of course, if he's never beat Darryn Peterson, he knows how talented he is.
Absolutely. And it goes back to again the Kansas and the BYU bouts that were had this past season. And it goes back even to
Darryn Peterson only played the one.
Right.
But he was the best player on the floor.
I would agree.
And he only played a half, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. And we even have
your promo,
the promo, the
Brian Haney.
Yeah, the promo of the guy talking about him outplaying AJ.
He had 18 points in the first half.
I'm looking forward to this rivalry. And I mean, it even goes back to the discourse I remember seeing online from when AJ DeBonsa commits to BYU as the number one recruit in the class, and then immediately, a couple weeks later, Darryn Peterson jumps up again, and they have this back and forth of who the number one recruit really is, and even back to the AAU days. This rivalry is a long time brewing. And you can hear, and you love to hear, I think if you're a Jazz fan, you love to hear him have that chip on his shoulder, ready to put his head down, ready to put in the work, and then also sneak diss AJ DeBonsa a little bit.
Well, speaking of sneak diss, that was not the first instance of that. I don't know the timeline of when Darryn had his media availability versus when he joined our show, but he also had media availability. He sits down in a press conference room and he talks to a bunch of media members. And during that availability, he also had a little bit of a sneak diss at AJ DeBonsa. This one was kind of unprompted. He's talking about he's ready to get to work, and you can tell there's a TV up on the wall that he's looking at. And AJ literally pops up on the TV or something, and Darryn kind of breaks his train of thought and says something. This is how that sounded.
The celebration stops tonight. I got drafted today, but tomorrow I'm now an NBA player, so get home. I'm gonna work out until I gotta report to Utah. Like I said, balls first. I'm a grinder. Like I said, Kobe's my guy, and I'm inspired by him. So I just kind of try to think, what will Kobe do right now? I think he get drafted and move on and try to go be the best thing possible. So that's what I'm gonna do. I see a guy with number one on the screen up there right now, so I'm extra motivated.
He's just talking about ready to get to work. That he says, I see the guy that went number one up on the screen right now. I'm ready. I'm extra motivated.
Yeah.
He hates him. He doesn't hate him. He's extra motivated.
And I didn't realize how much. I mean, I guess I did, but I to this extent is what surprised me. But I didn't really realize just how coveted and how important it was to some of these guys to have that number one overall pick next to their name. And it going back to, Darryn Peterson canceling his workouts and stuff, I don't think that necessarily had anything to do with the Utah Jazz, and I don't think that had anything to do with the organization or the way, or him not wanting to be in Utah. I think ultimately it's just how important it was to have that number one next to his name. And now that he doesn't, I think it's just going to motivate him even more to get to the levels that we were talking about earlier with the comparisons of him being to all these other guys, but to him getting to that level where he is in his own way a special player in the NBA.
Well, and his situation's a little bit different because, again, you got to remember, before the college basketball season,
He was the number one.
I'd argue even, back to like December, Darryn Peterson was supposed to be the number one pick in this draft. And if it weren't for what happened at Kansas during his time there, Darryn Peterson would have went number one overall to Washington. He was the guy in this draft. It's Caleb Wilson isn't sitting there saying, I'm looking at who went number one right now and I'm jealous. Like, Caleb Wilson is an amazing talent, right? But he never thought he was going number one. He knew the pecking order ahead of him. Darryn Peterson was told for probably close to a year plus that he was going to be the number one pick in this draft. And then it all falls apart in the months leading up to the draft. So, of course, he is extra motivated by it. And it's this player, like, not only that's the 300-foot view, and then you get a little closer and it's like, oh, who went number one then? Oh, this player that he had this rivalry with all throughout high school and in college. They played in the same conference. Then you zoom in a little closer and it's like, oh, that player that he has a rivalry with is loved by the city that drafted Darryn Peterson.
That he's going to.
There are so many levels
I think that,
to this rivalry that make it so entertaining.
That just adds another layer to it that I think ultimately is going to make the rivalry between AJ DeBonsa and Darryn Peterson even more fun because of the ties he has. Because in the case of DeBonsa, the ties that he has to Utah, the state of Utah, the ties he has to BYU, and the ties he has to a lot of the people in this state. I am really, really curious and really, really excited to see the reception that AJ gets when he steps into Delta Center.
Yeah. He's not going to get booed.
I don't think he'd get booed or anything, but
it's going to be popcorn, it's going to be entertainment.
Yeah, that's a game, as soon as the NBA schedule comes out, that's a game you're going to want to circle.
Well, and they're playing Summer League.
And they're playing Summer League.
Vegas Summer League.
Different situation, obviously, right, with Summer League. But I think you'll get a little bit of a taste for what that ultimate rivalry will be when you see them take on each other at the Vegas Summer League. But as soon as the schedule comes out, man, I'm looking. First thing I'm checking is when those Washington Wizards games are going to be. Not only just the one obviously here in Delta Center, but the one over there as well.
There was a lot of great sound that came out Tuesday night. I'd encourage you to go back and listen to everything. We had incredible coverage all night long. And again, we are going to hear from Darryn Peterson coming up in about an hour and 15 minutes with his introductory press conference. A lot of sound coming out. But there was one more clip that I wanted to play because I really liked his answer here. When you get a rookie, especially a highly drafted rookie, and you ask them what their goals are during their rookie year, you never quite know what you're gonna get. Sometimes you get like the guys that are like, oh, I want to, make the all-rookie team. I want to be an all-star as a rookie, yada, yada, yada. They asked Darryn Peterson that during this media availability session, and I honestly loved the answer that he gave. So this is Darryn Peterson talking about his goals during his rookie year.
Play all 82 games. Coming off the year out of Kansas, I didn't get to play all the games that I wanted to. My first goal was to play all 82, make the playoffs, try to get a ring. I've seen some rookies get deep in the playoffs, and they kind of inspired me to get there. They came up short, but I want to get all the way and get a ring.
Of course, Dylan Harper making the finals this year with the Spurs. But that first answer there, playing all 82 games. He wants to prove to everybody that this cramping nonsense, this injury concern and question is behind him. He wants to come in and play all 82 games as a rookie.
And I think that's a great goal to have. And to his credit, and to expand on that a little bit more, I think, listening to all the draft coverage, listening to him at the roundtable, listening to his post, draft availability, I think Darryn Peterson has said all the right things, everything that I think as a Jazz fan you want to hear. He has said everything. He's quickly, I think, changed even the opinions of people who maybe thought that either Darryn Peterson didn't want to be here, or there was concerns about the cramping and the health. I think he's saying every right thing to make sure that everybody knows that he's on board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, he wants to come out and help this team make the playoffs and be a part of that. And you don't hear like selfish goals, like, oh yeah, I want to score, I want to average 25 points a game, I want to make the all-star team, I want to make the all-rookie first team, this and that and this. Like, no, I want to play all 82 games. I want to help my team make the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. And that's everything you want to hear as a Jazz fan.
Let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll talk more Utah Jazz and Darryn Peterson again coming up at noon. We are going to stream his introductory press conference live, so stay with us. But let's take a break. We're going to hit technical fouls. Then coming up at 11:05, we're going to start talking NHL draft. Made a big trade last night. They traded away J.J. Petarka after his lone season in Utah. So switch gears for a bit. Stick with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're coming from the street with dirty shoes on your feet. That's a technical foul. If you switch the radio to some modern music show, that's a technical foul. If you touch the thermostat, you'll get hit with a bat. 'Cause that's a technical foul. You will feel my wrath. That's a technical foul.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
A technical foul.
Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles. It's time for technical fouls. We get to take this segment and laugh at some of the funnier goings-on in sports. A little bit of a warm-up here, Alex. I'm not really a baseball guy. I don't think you're really a baseball guy. But I've got a score for you that's going to this is definitely a technical foul.
Uh-oh.
Did you see the final last night between the White Sox and the Royals?
I did not, no.
Final score, Kansas City Royals won.
Okay.
White Sox 22.
What? 22?
The White Sox had 10 runs in the bottom of the third inning.
Wow.
They also had 5 runs in the bottom of the seventh, and then a couple other runs here and there. But yeah, 22 total runs for the Chicago White Sox in their win over Kansas City.
Anybody checking on Parker yet?
Oh yeah.
Gotta make sure he's good, man.
Our guy Parker.
Gotta make sure he's good. That, if I had to watch a 22-1 scoreline for my baseball team, I don't think I would be very happy.
I wonder how many people stuck around at the end of that one.
Probably not a lot.
The Royals, by the way, scored their only run in the 4th inning.
There you go. 22-1, man. That's crazy.
I got another technical foul. This was my real one. And I don't want to make anybody feel bad. So I'm sorry if I hurt feelings. But we've got to talk about what the Utah Jazz Twitter account did on Tuesday night. Bless their hearts. I don't know who runs the Twitter account. They put out a post, welcoming Darryn Peterson to Utah. It has since been deleted because they tagged the wrong Darryn P. Shout out to Darren Polak.
Who?
I don't know. It was like a faceless profile with like 3 followers.
Oh, okay.
But it was not Darryn Peterson.
Oh.
And they deleted the post and put out a new one. But
that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. It happens. We all do it.
It happens. Everybody makes mistakes.
Tagging the wrong person.
I think a lot of people obviously see the tweet, and then whoever this Darren Polak is probably got a little bump in followers. People thinking that it actually was, Darryn Peterson.
It's like, man, why are all these people following?
Why are all these people tagging me in basketball videos? Well, now you know. It's because.
And you know what? To your point, I doubt the Utah Jazz account was the only account to make that mistake.
I would probably almost guarantee it.
What is Darren Polak's? Let me find his.
I've been trying to find it this entire segment, and I can't find it. So if you're able to find it, let me know, because I am curious to see the differences in their handles. I haven't been able to find Darren. Oh, Darren P1.
Well, that's Darryn Peterson.
Right. But Darren Polak is also Darren.
Oh,
P1.
okay. So Darryn Peterson is Darren _
I see how the mistake happened. Yeah.
Darren Polak is just Darren P1, and the Darren Darryn is spelled the exact same. So they missed an underscore there. So yeah, see, I totally see how this can be confusing.
Absolutely.
No,
social media is hard, man.
No blame on the social media account at all. It just happens sometimes.
It happens. What's going on with Jaylen Brown, man?
Dude, I don't know what's going on. This is crazy.
I don't know what it is about players going after ESPN and, athletes going after ESPN and Stephen A in particular. But whenever it happens, man, it just makes me laugh. Jaylen Brown obviously was the center of attention when it came to the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade, besides the actual trade itself, because, of course, the Celtics were allegedly in play. Reportedly, the Celtics were offering up Jaylen Brown to get the services of Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks. And then, of course, Jaylen Brown, Giannis ends up going to Miami. And then Jaylen Brown has a little sit down at a sports beach, and they're interviewing him and they're talking about, the situation, and he goes after ESPN and says, quote, ESPN is unethical and Stephen A. Smith is the head face of that, but the organization and the players, they were all in agreement. They all knew what I meant by that. Our team was basically salary dumped. We lost a lot of players. And so
when did he say that?
Jaylen Brown, it looks like this was on the 24th.
Okay.
Whatever day that was. So Jaylen Brown going after, taking shots at ESPN and Stephen A. Smith. Unethical was the word.
Well, and I get it because Stephen A. Smith had some harsh words to say. I do think it is funny whenever a player beefs with media, and it's like...
Particularly Stephen A. Smith.
Right. And again, Stephen A. Smith is the loudest voice in the room, and whether or not he's right, he's always the loudest, and people are going to hear him, right? So that's where you got to kind of tread lightly. But speaking of ESPN, sometimes they don't really... I shouldn't say they don't really know what they're talking about, because they know what they're talking about. And to this sense, they know what they're doing, right? Bobby Marks, the infamous one who was going after Utah, saying that what did he say? Integrity of the game.
Integrity of the game, yeah.
Yeah, violated the integrity of the NBA.
Right.
Bobby Marks was on Sirius XM radio, and he had this to say about Jaylen Brown.
When you talk to teams, the analytics of Jaylen Brown is not good. I'm more of an eye test guy. There are some people out there that look at that a little bit more deeper than what the eye test says. I had one, not an executive, but an analytics guy saying, well, yeah, we view him as like the seventh best player on a team. I was like, holy crap.
Oh my God.
In reference to Jaylen Brown.
Yes.
Saying that he's the seventh best player.
Yes. This was like last night or this morning or something.
Are we just completely forgetting the season that he just had?
He won Finals MVP a year ago.
Are we just completely forgetting what he did for the Celtics when they won the NBA championship?
Yeah.
The seventh best player on that team? Come on.
And that's what I mean.
Where would the Celtics be without Jaylen Brown? Especially this
They'd
last
be drafting
season.
Darryn Peterson.
This last season where Jason Tatum is out hurt. I mean, I know Jason Tatum came back late in the season, but I mean, people were talking about Jaylen Brown bringing the MVP because of what he did for the Celtics.
And that's what I mean. Like, to an extent, I get why players get upset with the media, because Bobby Marks, I mean, he even leads with it. He says, I'm more of an eye test guy, so I don't really agree with this, but I had an analytics guy tell me he's the seventh best player on a team. What's the point of even saying that other than to just make people upset and make waves and get the reaction of, oh, so-and-so said Jaylen Brown is the seventh best player of a team, and then not provide the context of it's some nerd with a spreadsheet. Like, the game is not played.
I wonder too if
through Excel and spreadsheets and the fancy Texas calculators.
Right. I wonder too if this is a direct response to, because obviously Bobby Marks works for ESPN, and so I wonder if this is a little bit of a response to Jaylen Brown also going after the network and saying they're unethical. That's
what I mean. Like, to an extent, I get why players get upset at the media. I mean, we were trashing on. I said Isaiah Collier. Nobody wants to grow up and play like Isaiah Collier. Like, if he heard that, I'm sure he was upset. Players sometimes get upset at the media. And Isaiah, I'm sorry if you heard that.
Why would you say something so mean, Christian?
I'm sorry. Just don't go on Twitch and call me out.
Oh man, I love this whole situation. I'm curious to see what happens, with Jaylen Brown and his future with the Celtics. I think that because of everything that happened, I don't know if they're in a spot where they can repair that relationship. I think it'd be really awkward.
It is awkward
to try to go back and repair that relationship. So I'm really, really interested to see if come trade deadline in February, if Jaylen Brown is still a member of the Celtics team.
Yeah, this is like when you have a girlfriend or a partner or a significant other, and you're like, hey, I'm thinking about getting separated. I'm thinking about calling it quits. And then a week later, it's like, actually, no, let's figure it out. Like, once that conversation enters, it can't be undone.
Right.
Once you start thinking
it's
about...
like, oh, you were going to trade me.
Yeah. You were just about to trade me for
Right.
Giannis. You can't all of a sudden say, oh, never mind.
Make a U-turn. Hey, man, we love you. Don't go anywhere. Come on. The damage is done.
On Boston's side, I don't know how their front office feels about it. They're a smart front office, so I'm sure they're not caught off guard, but they should expect this reaction from Jaylen Brown. If you float a player's name in trade rumors, yeah, they're going to be upset.
Absolutely.
And so if I had to bet right now, yeah, Jaylen Brown's not going to be a Boston Celtic when the season opens. I don't know how long it's going to take to get a deal done, but seems like the ball is rolling.
We'll see. I'm assuming by trade deadline. I think maybe.
You think it could potentially be after the season starts?
Yeah, because then that way teams can negotiate less.
Okay.
And people can, whoever wants to go and trade for Jaylen Brown can ultimately have the upper hand and say, hey, we're going to give you less because he wants to leave, and kind of play it out till the trade deadline. Get him for cheaper than you would if you were to get him before the season.
Okay.
Type deal, right?
Yeah, we'll see. We got to take a break. Coming up next, we will talk some Utah Mammoth. NHL draft was last night. The Utah Mammoth traded up to select Ethan Belchet's 17th overall, but their biggest move of the night, obviously trading JJ Peterka to Boston. We'll talk about that next and also let you hear from GM Bill Armstrong and hear what he had to say. Stick with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
With the 17th overall selection in the 2026 NHL Draft, the Utah Mammoth are proud to select from the Windsor Spitfires, Ethan Belch.
Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles, you hear it right there. The Utah Mammoth make a selection, number 17 overall in the NHL Draft. They select Ethan Belchet's from Windsor, a big, strong forward to come in and help this team down the line. That's kind of how hockey prospects work. But, Alex, it was a really busy night for the Utah Mammoth. Things get rolling around 4:15. The rumor comes out that the Mammoth are in talks with Boston to trade forward JJ Peterka to the Boston Bruins, and they do. They end up getting 2 first-round picks for JJ, pick 23, and then a 2028 top 10 protected first-round pick from Florida. Honestly, not a bad haul for a player that was benched in the playoffs.
Not a bad haul, and I think, and ultimately, right, you turn around JJ, which first of all, JJ Peterka, wish him the best. For some reason, his one season here just didn't seem to work out the way that everybody wanted it to work out, and so you move on from JJ Peterka sooner rather than later. But you do turn that 23rd pick and then retrade it and end up getting a goaltender. So it ultimately turns out to you move on from JJ and you bring in some goaltending.
Yeah. And so that is part of the busy night for the Mammoth. Yeah, they're sitting there with picks 19 and 23.
Yes.
And initially when the trade is made, when they trade JJ away, the thought is that they're going to maybe package both of those picks with some other picks and maybe some prospects and take a big swing at somebody like Jason Robertson or Larkin or some of these other big names that could be available. Instead, they trade up from 19 to 17 and take this kid Belchet's. And then with the 23rd pick, they flip that for Sebastian Cossa, a goaltender prospect from Detroit. And The Athletic put out a list of each team's prospect pool rankings a little while ago. And Cossa was actually ranked as the top prospect in Detroit's system by The Athletic in that list. So this is a dude who was drafted, I believe... Oh, the year spaced me. But he's not going to sit in Utah's system anymore. He is expected to come in and compete right away with Veggie, not necessarily to be the starting goalie for the Mammoth, but at least be the backup, right? Yeah. Because goaltending was a bit of an issue for the Mammoth last year. Vanacek had some ups and downs. Veggie himself had some ups and downs as well. So they're getting a prospect in Sebastian Cossa, who, frankly, Detroit Red Wing fans are pretty PO'd that they're losing.
I did see some of that reaction from the Red Wings side of things, where they were pretty not happy to let go Sebastian Cossa. So I think that from a Mammoth perspective, I think that should excite fans a little bit more when there's that type of reaction to losing a player.
Yeah. And as far as the selection they did make, Ethan Belchetz, Stephen Ellis, a guy that we have a ton on the station, he's the prospect analyst for Daily Faceoff, a pretty big, obviously, hockey organization. This was his little write-up about Belchetz. I call Belchetz the chaos conductor because he uses a 6'5" frame to push his way into scoring lanes. Few defenders know how to handle that. Many OHLers called him the toughest player to play against. He just needs to do that consistently. So it sounds like in the OHL he was just bigger and stronger than everybody and used that to his advantage. Obviously, there are bigger and stronger players in the NHL, so he won't be able to do that quite as much. But the size is what stands out because that's where the Mammoth were lacking in their playoff series against Vegas. And it's not like this dude can come in and contribute to the Mammoth right away because he's only 18.
Right.
It's going to be a couple years before the Mammoth see him on the ice. But it's very clear with some of these other guys like Simashev and Boot and Mavlam, right? Bill Armstrong is clearly targeting Cole Baudouin as well, clearly targeting some really big, strong prospects all across the ice, not just forwards or defensemen. Even this Cossa dude is huge. He's like 6'8".
Yeah.
Right? So they are adding size to the Utah Mammoth, and that's what matters.
And that's a great thing, right? Because that's obviously what you needed in the Stanley Cup playoffs this last year. But the thing that I find interesting too is that looking at Ethan, he was looking at some of the pre-draft prospect rankings and some of where the where the NHL had him is that they had him as the number 11 prospect in this draft. And so I think, the Mammoth see him fall a little bit. They're at 19, 17's coming up. They see an opportunity to trade up and get the guy that they want, get a guy that they think can come in and, in the future be someone that can be relied upon. And so they make that move and they move up and take him at 17. And so this is the someone who was ranked number 11 now falling to you at 17.
And he fell because he had a clavicle injury that ended his season. That's the rumor. He says he's feeling great, so we'll see. The Mammoth, by the way, just made another selection in the third round of the draft. They selected center Adam Valentini, 96th overall. He played at Michigan last year. 5'10", 187, so back to a kind of smaller prospect, but we'll see if he ever turns up in the system. Some of these later round picks you don't really know. But back to the point earlier, talking about J.J. Peterka, sending him away and getting, starting the process of all these trades that the Mammoth made last night. You mentioned earlier that Peterka never really seemed to fit in during his time in Utah. And by the end of it, last night when he was traded away, I don't think there was a tear shed in Salt Lake City. And to tie that, honestly, to an earlier conversation, talking about the Jazz bringing in Darryn Peterson and how rabid fans go when things work out, we kind of saw a lot of fans turn on J.J. Peterka during the playoffs when he no-showed. And, of course, the Bear benched him, right? But he didn't have very many fans left in Salt Lake City after his playoffs because of, I guess, the failure to meet expectations. The Mammoth traded away a fan favorite in Josh Doan to bring this guy in, and they say they have these expectations for him, and he never meets those.
Right.
And that's when you see the fan base turn. That's when you see the passion of this fan base, right? They do get upset when players fail to meet expectations, and, I don't blame them one bit because they have every right to be, hearts full for the Utah Mammoth. But I think that's a really good example of, if you're playing well, you've got this city in your hands. And if you're not playing well, see ya.
Yeah,
see you later.
I think in other sports, it doesn't turn as quickly as things I think go for J.J. Peterka. But again, I think the initiative from the front office and the initiative from GMBA and from the people making the decisions for the Utah Mammoth to quickly try to turn that around and improve. Another thing that I think really that could have improved for the Utah Mammoth this season, which of course was that goaltending, right? This was the domino that led to to Kosa coming in. It just goes to show that they're serious about wanting to make sure that they improve for next season and making sure that they're going to make the right moves that are going to put the Mammoth over the top to potentially go on and win a playoff series, and not just be in a spot where Vegas made we had Vegas on the ropes, Vegas made the Stanley Cup Finals, we're in a good spot. No, let's go out there and let's make some moves to make sure that we can actually go out and win a playoff series next season.
You don't want to trick yourself into thinking that you're close if you're not. And I think you're kind of alluding to this as well. Credit to GMBA for willing to move on from this, for acknowledging, he's not the best fit, Peterka, right? Let's move him now and see what we can get for him. And frankly, 2 first-round picks is a great haul, right? So I think it's a great move all in all. Still stings to see Josh Doan in Buffalo and being a face of that organization. He was there at the draft last night.
He's excelling, man.
And he had a great year.
Yeah, he's excelling.
And that stings, but again, you do what you can do, and you're always on the move trying to improve your team, and I like that about GMBA. Sean, you are a Boston Bruins fan. Quick thoughts on acquiring JJ Peterka.
I love it for both sides, honestly. Okay. I'm stoked. I think he fits better for the Bruins, and like you said, getting 2 picks for Utah, it's a good deal all around.
We'll see if he can revitalize his career.
I think he will. He's playing with Pasternak. I mean, one of the best goal scorers in the world.
There we go. Let's go ahead and hear from Bill Armstrong. Obviously, we don't have enough time to play the whole thing. We will have it posted on the podcast feed. But I do want to hear, because we didn't get to hear last night during the NHL draft, we didn't get to hear his thoughts after the conclusion of the first round. So here's GMBA talking about his selection of Ethan Belchets and the trade of JJ Peterka.
A busy first day of the draft. Let's start. Let's start with the trade that you did, getting 2 draft picks. You then churned one around to get Kosa. What went into that decision process?
Well, there's a lot of thought process behind that. We've got some really good younger players coming, and I felt like we had to create a little bit of room for them in some areas, in some offensive situations, and I think JJ was a great player for us. Obviously to get 2 first-rounders for him, it's a great value. 1 first-rounder allowed us to go get one of the goaltenders we've been hunting for the last few years. And then I think with the other pick, it allows us to have some ability to make some bigger deals down the stretch with another first-rounder in the bank. And so I think it gives us a lot of flexibility. It gives our younger guys an opportunity and gives us an opportunity to put a young kid in net that we feel is going to chance to really take a step and maybe be a goaltender of the future for us. You never know.
Where does Ethan fit into the picture, and why did you guys trade up to get him?
Well, he's a power forward. When they say power forward, he's a power forward. He's got a lot of great hockey sense. I love his game. He thinks the game at a high level. He's a big man. He can do a little bit of the nasty sometimes and take care of business too. He's a great kid. We did a lot of work on him. We weren't sure that he was going to be there when we were picking, and we had to trade up to get him. But we love who he is. We love the size, the hockey sense, the ability to play tough and hard. He's going to fit right into our culture.
Do you feel like Kosa's ready to be a backup goaltender in the National Hockey League?
We do, and I think the reason why is if you look at his work in the American League over the last few years, he's at the point where he's accumulated enough games in the American Hockey League at his age is absolutely perfect, and now he's going to have that opportunity to take that next step. And I feel like with goaltenders, it's hard. He gets to a certain point in an organization, and it's just. The time it's ticking, and it's hard to draft goaltenders and bring them all the way through the process. It's a tough position when you're drafting somebody and say, hey, well, we're going to see you 6 or 7 years down the road. You got to be patient with them, and I feel like he was a goaltender that we move towards, and he has a chance to really step in here and be a huge piece of our club next year.
How does that trade affect Michael Rabel, if at all?
Well, I don't think it does. I think, with the goaltending, Michael's got to go down to the American League, and he's got to take the next step down there. And it takes a little bit of time to do that, and he's got to accumulate a lot of games, a lot of starts, and a lot of experiences down there, and to take the next step. And you never know. I mean, he could be up here by the end of the year. You don't know with goaltending, and I think it's important, to always have enough goaltending and enough really good prospects in our organization. And he fits the mold for us at, Sebastian does at this time, and he's also going to be a good role model for Michael, and I think he's going to be a great goaltender partner for Veggie. He's an unreal human being, so we're really excited about acquiring him.
And then just back to JJ, do you have any sense of why it didn't work for him here?
I don't know if it didn't work for him. I think for us, on our side of it, there's just more good young players coming, and I think we created a spot now for a little bit of competition where one of the young guys can jump in there and go grab it. And there's still a bit of work to be done in free agency that we need to kind of work for and see what free agents come our way that could help our club. So I think there's a lot of things we can still do to improve the club, and some of those young guys are going to take a step and help us out in that improvement.
You mentioned those young guys pushing. Who are, maybe if you could name 1, 2, or 3, and then we have Dev Camp coming up obviously the next few days. What are you looking for out of those guys?
Well, I think they'll be motivated. So I think they're going to be excited about coming in. I think, some of the big guys for us are the Aginlas and the Denoyers and the Baudouins and the Gabe Smiths and, Mr. Belchez, who we just drafted too. Those guys are going to come into camp excited, and they know there's a spot there and there's opportunity for them, and they're going to come in just fired up and ready to go. And I think for them, having a little bit of that opportunity is a great thing. You never know. One of those kids could have a huge impact. And we didn't even talk about Daniel Boot, who had a huge year in the American League and played well for us when he came up. He's going to have an opportunity too.
And then you mentioned it had been years that you've been looking at Sebastian. When did he come on your radar, and when did you get the feeling that he might become available on the?
Well, it's funny when you do a lot of research in the draft, and in that particular year, in his draft year, we did a lot of work on him, and we had one of our scouts, Randy Hanch. He was a part of the team that drafted him back in the day in the Western Hockey League to Edmonton, along with Dylan Gunther. So we've always been following him for a long time. And goaltenders take time, so we've been along for the ride, watching and scouting and doing some work and seeing if we could, have the ability to acquire him one day, and we did. So,
what's your favorite part of Ethan's game?
Well, I think my favorite part about his game is his touch and feel and understanding the game and just around the net. He's got some ability to score. I think that's a huge. I don't know, just his hockey sense at times. He just knows when to go in there to get the puck, and when the puck's lying around, he's got some scoring ability. So, it's hard to find guys like that that are that big with some sense and some ability and some toughness too.
Drafted a lot of big boys over the last couple of years. How do you incorporate that size into your style, which has a lot to do with speed?
Yeah, I think our scouting staff is pretty good at of trying to mix and blend, the Logan Cooley's of the world, and then you've got the big men like Daniel Boot and that kind of stuff. So I think that they do a nice job at really, blending, not only the size and speed and skill and the different identities that those players bring. So I think we're a well-rounded organization when it comes to drafting. I mean, we always talk about size. People notice our size, but they also notice our speed. And so it's a big part of our culture and what our scouts bring and how we teach, what we're looking for to them. And they go in the field and do that. But, I mean, there's guys that are big guys, but they're only 5'10", like they're strong and powerful guys too. They might not be 6'5". We like those guys too.
Okay, got a little yappy, so we didn't get to play all of GMBA. But we're going to have that posted on the podcast feed. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can look it up. Go to KSLSports.com. That's an easy place to find it. So let's go to break, and then on the other side, we'll get to 5 minutes of. Got some big trades in the NBA that we got to hit. Stick with us. It's a Saturday show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles. It is time for 5 minutes of running out of time in the show. We still got a lot to talk about. And Alex, we're basically going to name this segment the NBA trade edition of 5 minutes
Yes.
Few big trades this week, none bigger than, of course, the Milwaukee Bucks sending Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Miami Heat for an absolute haul, including Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kasparis Jakichonis, and 3 first-round picks.
It's quite the haul for Giannis. I think, obviously, Giannis Antetokounmpo with what he's been able to accomplish, with him being who he is, I think that's a price tag that warrants making a move like Giannis Antetokounmpo. However, what have we learned about the last 2 NBA championships as far as what it takes to win an NBA championship?
Depth.
You got to have depth. And when you trade away all your depth for Giannis Antetokounmpo, did this trade really make Miami better?
If Giannis ran, if the title window closed in Milwaukee because it was Giannis and a bunch of nobodies.
Yes.
The Heat have to trade everybody they have to get Giannis, and now he's in Miami with a bunch of I get that he's with Bam Adebayo.
And again, yeah, no disrespect to Bam Adebayo, because I think Bam, Bam's awesome and Bam does a really great job. However, you look at the rest of the lineup and it's like,
who? But at least you're in Miami.
I mean, sure.
If you're going to be on a bad or I shouldn't say bad. If you're going to be on a mid basketball team, it's probably better to be in Miami than in Milwaukee.
I have a hard time looking at this trade and saying that it made Miami better.
It's hard because when he's at his best, Giannis is the top 3 player in the world.
Sure.
And Bam Adebayo is really talented, and I know his 83-point game gets scrutinized because of the foul baiting and whatever, and I get that. But he's talented. He's an Olympian, a gold medalist. He's a good player. Bam Adebayo is a really good player. So him and Giannis together, honestly, is a really scary duo. And if they can figure out how to get other pieces around them, if they can keep Powell in free agency, honestly, the East is weak enough that you never know who could make a run. But to your point, the reason why the Knicks ran through the East, literally ran through, 13 wins in a row, and
Before
won
the
NBA Finals, is because they were just deeper than everybody. Not only are they deeper than everybody, but they're not top heavy. I mean, Brunson is a good player, but he took a pay cut so they could add other pieces, right?
Right.
Their starting 5, they never had the best player on the floor. I would argue Donovan Mitchell was better than Jalen Brunson. Right? They never had the best player on the floor, but they had the best 5 players on the floor at all times. And that's just how it is.
That's credit to their depth. That's credit to I mean, you even saw performances from Landry Shamet, who came in and played really great basketball for the Knicks.
Josh Hart.
Right.
OG.
And we've learned that throughout the course of the last couple of NBA championships is that you need to have those depth and you need to have those type of players on your roster that can sub in and put in a shift to get you to where you want to be. And now, I mean, sure, I think Tyler Hero and Jaime Jaquez are losing those two.
I like Jaime Jaquez.
I like Jaime Jaquez too, and I think losing both of those guys. I mean, it's a great haul for the Bucks. You get plenty of picks. You get plenty of really good really good depth pieces. You get a couple of, you get one high caliber player like Tyler Hero. But good move for the Bucks. I not having the depth for Miami is what's going to worry me.
Another trade went down. Julius Randle also sent by Minnesota to Brooklyn in a big 4-team trade. That one doesn't really change the NBA landscape, so we'll kind of gloss over that. Unless you really feel like talking about Julius Randle.
No.
I mean, I guess the big thing is it takes the Chicago Bulls out of the running for Walker Kessler because they were rumored to want him. They get Nick Claxton, and they're paying him some money, so supposedly they're not going to be in on Walker Kessler. I guess it's relevant for those reasons, right? But any other quick thoughts on that one?
No, good on the Timberwolves for moving on from Julius Randle, who
that's a good way to put it.
Ghosted in the playoffs. Good move for the.
And then they follow that up with an absolute head scratcher.
Yeah,
trading for LaMelo Ball.
What? Why?
You do so good getting off of Julius Randle, clearing up all of this money just to spend it on LaMelo Ball. And I get, we talked about analytics earlier on in the show. I get LaMelo Ball is an analytical darling. Like, some of his spreadsheet numbers make him look like a really good player. But how much of that is he was playing in Charlotte where they just did not give a rip about what happened on the court? It's go out there and have fun on three.
Yeah.
Let LaMelo shoot the air out of the ball. He scored 100 points in a high school game. Let's see if he can do it in the NBA.
And also, you lose Naz Reid in this.
Right, and that's the big thing. They traded Julius Randle, and it's like, okay, their starting five could be Ant, Dosunmu, Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, and Rudy Gobert. Like, that's a really good starting five.
Right.
But then you send Reid to Charlotte, and now you have a hole at the power forward.
A big reason, going back and watching the Timberwolves series from the last couple of years, a big reason as to why they were so successful, why they got to the levels that they got to. Naz Reid had a big part to play with that. Why? Because of the depth, Christian.
Yeah,
because
he was a big six man.
He was coming off the bench, and he was doing and he was anchoring that second unit for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now you move on from an important piece like Naz Reid, and you bring in LaMelo Ball, and it's a head scratching move. Even more so when you factor in Julius Randle leaving the night before the draft.
Yes. Well, and the other part of it too, they had to attach a pick to Julius Randle to get off of him. To entice Brooklyn to take on his salary. They're sending the rest of their picks to Minnesota. Well, it's Naz Reid, a first-round pick, and then 3 pick swaps because literally they are out of picks. They are all out of assets. They're tying up all of their money to Dosunmu and LaMelo Ball now, plus Anthony Edwards. Rudy Gobert is on a sizable contract, Jaden McDaniels as well. So they are out of money. They are out of draft picks. If this trade does not work, the Timberwolves are sunk. They're going to have to trade Anthony Edwards.
We've seen all in. But this is
all
in. If this doesn't work out, and that championship window, closes for Minnesota.
It's going to slam shut.
What are they going to do? How do you move on from that? And I don't know if you want. Obviously, you don't want to move on from Anthony Edwards, but is it going to take a move for Anthony Edwards? In 2 years,
right,
to eventually get back in a spot where you can do something for this franchise because you are all in with these moves.
The LaMelo thing is interesting because we heard a quote. I believe it was Chris Finch, the head coach, or maybe it was their GM. I think it was right after the playoffs ended. It said they wanted to look for a lead ball handler so Anthony Edwards could play off ball more, and that's what LaMelo Ball is. So fit, as far as that, is a good fit. There was a graphic because ESPN loves to put up graphics to make all the trades look pretty. Some graphics said, players to average 20 points and 7 assists over 3 straight seasons. LaMelo Ball was only one of 4 or 5 players ever. That on paper, sure, looks cool. He's going to get everybody involved. But Alex, the reason you and I are sitting here picking this trade apart is because we know what a knucklehead LaMelo Ball is.
Yes.
He's an idiot.
Did we just completely forget about the car crash situation that happened literally less than 4 months ago?
Right.
Like this isn't new. This isn't something that's coming out post the trade or whatever. Like what comes with being a ball. Right?
With bringing a ball brother in.
Right. You know what comes with bringing one of these guys into your franchise. And so that is why this is a head scratcher for me.
And does it not raise a red flag that Charlotte, coming off their best season in years, and the future is looking so bright for the Charlotte Hornets, they're like, sure, yeah, go ahead and take him.
Yeah, take him.
They're on the up and up.
That's a red flag. That's a red flag within itself.
Yes.
It makes it mind-boggling trade. Makes no sense for me.
So the Jazz are going to beat the Timberwolves in the playoffs a year from now.
Yes.
I'm calling it right now. They're going to match up. I don't know what the seeding is going to look like, but they're going to match up. The Jazz are going to win that series. Send Rudy home.
I would say so, yes.
You heard it here first on the Saturday show. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles.
There you go.
Real quick. Some news last night. The Oklahoma City Thunder are bringing back Isaiah Hartenstein on a 3-year, $75 million contract. The reason this is relevant is because This ties into all the numbers with Walker Kessler and the rumored $28 million per year contract offer that the Jazz had on the table for Walker. Walker has turned down up to this point. 3 years, 75, of course, $25 million a year. That's showing that is right about fair value for Walker Kessler. And I would be shocked if Walker gets a ton more than that. Because frankly, Isaiah Hartenstein has accomplished more than Walker Kessler to this point in his career, as far as he was the missing piece that helped the Thunder win a championship.
I think looking at this from the numbers perspective, right, the contract perspective, I think that this is really good news for Jazz fans. Because this is this you see where the market is. As far as the potential of somebody coming in and putting an offer down for Walker Kessler, you see where the market is for somebody like Hartenstein, and so that I think bodes well for Jazz fans who are, wanting Walker Kessler back, and are afraid that someone's going to come in and overpay for Walker Kessler.
Yeah, you'd be shocked if Walker gets a ton more than Hartenstein. I'd say $28 million a year is perfect.
Yes, which again the Jazz can go and turn and match it.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. Coming up next, we will kind of set the scene for the big press conference coming up at noon. Darryn Peterson, Austin Ainge, and Ryan Smith talking to the media here in about 15 minutes. Stick with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thank you for tuning in, making us a part of your Saturday morning. I'm Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles here with me. We got Sean Croshaw playing some Beastie Boys. Really awaiting the press conference here in about 10 minutes. The Utah Jazz are going to introduce Darryn Peterson, their second overall pick in Tuesday's draft. Supposed to come in and be the face of the franchise. Everybody is really excited about this dude. Touchdown in Salt Lake City last night, had a big welcoming party, saw him signing a bunch of autographs. So that's going to get going here in about 10 minutes. Alex, real quick, some World Cup talk. We jinxed Team USA.
Yes.
They lost to Turkey.
Yes. They lost to Turkey 3-2, but
what was that? Did you just say Turkey?
I did say Turkey. To Turkey, and I saw the overreactions online. I saw a lot of people disappointed. I mean, obviously you can be disappointed with the performance, but the overreactions were a little bit much. It was a rotated squad. It was a game where the U.S. already won the group. Turkey was already eliminated. I wouldn't read too much into it more than the depth just needs to be a little bit better for the U.S. men's national team. I wouldn't read too much into the loss. The next one is going to be the important one. That's a Wednesday night matchup, 6 p.m. against Bosnia and Herzegovina for the round of 32.
And that is official. They will be playing Yusuf Nurkic's home country.
Yes.
Bosnia and Herzegovina. What was
Herzegovina.
Herzegovina. Bosnia.
There you go. Yes.
I'll stick with Bosnia.
Yeah, there you go.
That's interesting because they're stationed in Salt Lake City, by the way.
They are, yes. They've been using the facilities from RSL. They've been using the RSL Stadium and all those facilities down there. And so that coming into the World Cup, they're one of the teams that I was like, I hope they do well because they're here in Salt Lake, and now here they are playing the host country.
And you'd like to think that the United States has a good chance.
Yes, I think the team will come down to the midfield and honestly the health of Christian Pulisic. If Pulisic is healthy, ready to roll and ready to go, the U.S. got a good shot. They can take advantage of a midfield that lacks a little bit of that World Cup experience, lacks a little bit of that World Cup. I don't know if maturity is the right word, but there is a lot of young guys in the midfield for Bosnia. So I think this game will be one in the midfield for the U.S. And they haven't won an elimination game in a World Cup since 2002. They haven't beat a European country since before the last World Cup.
Talking about U.S.
Yes. So there's a lot riding on this game for the U.S. And we'll see. I'm sure Santa Clara and the Bay Area will show up and make that a rocking environment for the round of 32.
We will see. Go USA. Go USA, baby.
World Cup's been fun, man.
It's been awesome.
It's been super fun to watch. Continue to love the fan reaction and people celebrating on the streets, man. It's what the World Cup's about.
All right, let's take a break. Coming up next, you are going to hear from Darryn Peterson, the newest Utah Jazz man. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles. Thank you to everybody tuning in. I know everybody's waiting to hear Darryn Peterson utter his first words as a Jazz man.
I think we're all looking forward to it. We're all excited. And we were talking about it a little bit earlier. He's saying all the right things. Everything I think that as a Jazz fan you want to hear. And, setting his goals for wanting to play all 82 games, for setting his goals of having wanting to push the team into the playoffs, for having that chip on his shoulder of going up against being the number 2 instead of the number 1. He's saying all the right things, everything you want to hear for somebody who's going to come in and be the face of your franchise.
Yeah, and he has really done an amazing job. So let's throw to the podium right now. It's going to be Austin Ainge, the Utah Jazz president of basketball operations, Ryan Smith, the owner, and of course, Darryn Peterson.
To Zions Bank basketball campus, I'm Thurl Bailey, former Jazz man and current game analyst for the Jazz alongside my play-by-play partner, Craig Bolerjack. It's an exciting day. Exciting day for Jazz fans, exciting day for Jazz Nation. We want to thank you for joining us as we introduce the newest member of the Utah Jazz, 2nd overall pick, Darryn Peterson and his family to Utah. Joining us on stage today are Utah Jazz Governor Ryan Smith, newest Jazz man, of course, Darryn Peterson, and Utah Jazz President of Basketball Operations, Austin Ainge. We'll begin with opening remarks from Ryan, followed by Austin Ainge, and then we'll hear briefly from Darryn Peterson. Ryan?
Thanks, Thurl. It's a great day for our organization. We're grateful to have Darryn and his family, Natasha and Daryl. Thank you. You're all part of our community now, and we couldn't be more excited. We're super excited for what Darryn can do on the court. We're also incredibly excited for his part in this organization and the community. I think everyone's going to love the character which he brings, the hard work, the humbleness, the confidence. He's a unique individual, and I think his skill set will speak for itself. But we're just excited to have another piece to this organization and the way that we're moving, and our best years are definitely ahead of us.
Spent a lot of time watching a lot of Darryn film and talking to a lot of people in his life through the years, through different high school stops and college stops, and getting to know him as a person from afar, and then more recently getting to talk to him directly. And we couldn't be more thrilled with the person we're getting, the culture fit, and what he can bring to our group. And we have a bunch of talented players, and we think Darryn can fit in with all of them and just elevate us as we go forward.
I'll start by just saying it's an honor and privilege to be a part of this organization. I'm super blessed to be here, worked super hard, and the warm welcome yesterday was great. First time I got off the plane, everybody was there, so it's going well so far. Appreciate you guys being here today, and looking forward to what's to come in the future.
We're going to open it up for questions now from the media in attendance today. Please raise your hand for a microphone. And we also ask that you please state your name and your outlet.
David Locke, Utah Jazz Radio, welcome. It's somewhat unusual for a number 1 or number 2 pick to join a team that has 2 All-Stars and some other emerging high-level talent. How do you view yourself fitting in what is a fairly established and pretty talented group?
Yeah, I spoke about it at the draft. I think me and Keontae will be a great backcourt. Like you said, there's a lot of all-star and great upcoming talent, and hopefully I have a chance to be an all-star, so I'm going to try to listen to those guys and pick their brains and just be surrounded by so much greatness. I think would be great for myself and for the team.
Dana Green with ABC4. Is there a part of your game that you're looking forward to showcase in the NBA that maybe you couldn't showcase at Kansas, just with the NBA style, and what do you think you could bring to this team?
Something I want to show, I think, is my two-way ability, that I can play both sides of the ball at a good level. I want to bring offense and defense to the team. Also my playmaking. I think I didn't get to showcase as much at Kansas, but hopefully I can bring that here.
Darren, Sarah Todd from the Deseret News. I'd love to know what the conversation was with Kyle for you to get number 22.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. He wanted to keep it, but that's his first assist to me. He was willing to give me that, so I appreciate him for that. And I told him, like, it's an honor. I'm thankful that he did it, and that's his first assist. That's what I said. Like, it was his first assist from him to me, so I'm thankful.
Did you have to give up anything to get it?
Yeah, for sure. But
for Darryn, Jason Batacchio from the Salt Lake Tribune. Darryn, you've kind of talked a little bit about just, your journey at Kansas, the injuries that you went through. What do you feel like you learned most about yourself just during that time period, going through that adversity and so forth?
Not really. I didn't think I really learned anything new. I've been through adversity a ton of times in my life, so I faced it and got through it. I control what I can control, but what happened at Kansas, I think, is behind me. I was working out 3 times a day during the pre-draft, done all the tests, passed all the physicals and stuff. So I can't promise I won't ever have a cramp again, but what happened at Kansas definitely won't occur anymore. It's behind me.
Darryn, I'm wondering what you've heard so far, what you know about Will Hardy's offense style, and how you think you're going to fit into that specifically.
Yeah, me and Coach was just in the back talking about it. I asked him when can I watch film and start to break down stuff. I've heard tons of great things, so I can't wait to learn from him, learn from Keontae, another guard that's been in his offense. So looking forward to picking his brain, picking Keontae's brain, and trying to fit in well with the offense.
Sam Farnsworth, KSL Sports. Darryn, I'm just curious what conversations, if any, you've had with some of the recent rookies, Ace or Keontae, even in their transition to Utah, what to expect, and what they've told you about being a part of our state.
Yeah, I had dinner with Keontae yesterday. We talked for the majority of the dinner, just picking his brain about what it's like to be here, what the team's like. He said it's all great, and he thinks I'll fit in well. He said, I told him summer league practice coming up on Monday, like what to expect. He said, whatever you think is hard, just multiply it by 10. So I'm ready to come in and work. That didn't scare me at all, so I'm ready.
Darryn, Craig Roller-Jank, Utah Jazz play-by-play TV broadcast. Welcome, by the way. Welcome to Salt Lake. Summer League amazingly starts a week from today. Just curious about focusing in on that and what you would hope to accomplish, not overdo it, but also learn the system and what your goals are in that week, and then off to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm super excited for Summer League. I haven't had the chance to play in a game since my last game in March, so I'm super excited to go out there and compete with these guys and hopefully get some wins, trying to win all the games we play in.
Jenna Fink from KUTV. When you were talking about the meeting that Austin and other execs had with you in your hometown, you talked about after how you could immediately feel that it was a good fit. What about those meetings maybe stood out to you, the feeling that you got, and how is it compared to actually being here?
Yeah, I always say I'm an energy guy. When I entered the room, I felt a good energy off the rip, and we had a good conversation. And I like that it wasn't all about basketball. We talked about the puppy I just got. We talked about my family, so it just felt good to feel like I had a family already. And then for them to take me on Tuesday was super surreal, and I was delighted when they said they were going to take me. I got the call. I was super happy.
We had a good talk also about Avery Bradley, who was with us, ending his agent Darren Matsubara's coaching career. Mats, I know you wanted me to share that. Avery had 50 on him, and he quit coaching right after that and started being an agent.
For Ryan and Austin, obviously you guys, this is a long process. You interview so many people. You have to get to kind of know the character of the player that you want to draft. For both of you, just when you're going throughout that process, what do you feel like was the kind of key trait about Darryn that shined throughout the NBA draft combine, all the interviews, ultimately that led you to draft him?
Yeah, I mean the dedication, the work ethic, which Daryl and Darryn worked for many years before he got to the high school coaches that we talked to, but they just said Darren's in the gym and he wants to win. And quiet confidence was a phrase we got a lot, just that he may not be the loudest guy, but he's there when you need him, and he's not scared.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the things is just the excitement from our group. I mean, from Will to DA, Avery, everyone just being so excited. Like, there's a visceral reaction of like, what it could be, putting him next to Key and having these two go. That's exciting. That's a little foreshadowing for what all of our fans are going to see. And I think that, we get this chance to kind of see it before we serve it a little bit. And there was a lot of excitement there.
Austin, this one's for you. Darryn said something interesting at the Combine. He was asked about kind of being a quiet person and being more of a reserved person when it comes to on the court. And he said that if you look at a team like Golden State, Draymond is obviously the loudest guy, but it's Stephen Curry's team. And so I'm wondering, when you hear that coming from someone who is, a teenager, that kind of perspective, what does that make you think about what is possible for the future?
It's a really mature and astute observation, and I think it's very true, and also shows that he's a student of the game. Personality type is overrated. There's not one way to be a leader. We just ask everybody to bring who they are and what they have and bring it to the group and try to add. Just try to make everyone else around them better and try to lift, and that can be with actions, words, passes, loose balls, charges. There's 100 ways to lead.
Grace Lawrence, Fox 13 Sports Utah. For Darryn, just what have been your first impressions of the fan base when it comes to the video you saw of the watch party and getting off the plane yesterday? Just your first impressions of how excited everyone is to have you here.
I'm sorry, can you ask me that one more time? I was looking for you in the crowd.
Yeah, no, you're good. Just what have been your first impressions of the fan base when it comes to about 1,000 people at the watch party, getting off the plane yesterday? What's it been like to take in the excitement of the fan base to have you here?
Yeah, it was great. When I looked out the window of the plane and seen everybody out there waiting for me and chanting my name and stuff. So that was huge for me. I came from Kansas, which was another huge fan base. So to go from there to here, I think it's going to be great. And when I put on the uniform, I'm not putting it on for myself. I'm putting it on for the fans.
James Peterson, ESPN 700. My cousin. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm curious, how did you feel about the Jazz potentially taking you before your meeting in Ohio during the draft process? And then how has that changed now that you're here?
Yeah, after the lottery, I looked into the top teams, and I thought off the rip that I would have the best fit with Utah. So for them to take me with the second pick, like I said before, I was super happy to hear that, and I think I'm going to fit in well, and it's going to go great.
Darryn, on the court, watching you, it seems to me you're almost always on balance. What have you done to be able to be that mature an athlete at such a young age, and what are the training things you did to have that level of balance?
I spent a lot of time in the weight room, working on my core, my body, and I would say just a blessing, too. Sometimes just God-given stuff. I can't say I really focus on being balanced all the time, but just work so hard in the weight room, and just God-given.
Ben Anderson, KSL Sports. Ryan, this one's for you. It's almost 4 years since this rebuild began. How do you feel where you are today compared to where you were when that process started?
Look, I mean, it's a journey. I think that, Danny and I and Jay-Z, when we decided to make some of those moves 4 years ago, we had a pretty good understanding of kind of the optimistic view, the mid view, and kind of the longest view. And timing in the NBA is everything. There's a lot of teams out there who have tried to exit or go through one, and you kind of got to hit windows. But my feeling is just gratitude, to be honest with you. I'm grateful for our fans because there was nowhere else in the league where they went through something like this, or they've gone through something like this in a 4-year period, and everyone showed up every single night. Our sponsors showed up, people bought tickets, and they were with us, and there was a lot of trust and confidence. I'm grateful for Coach. I mean, we brought Coach in here, and day one we had a different roster than where he had when he started the season, famously, and Will has been not only an incredible coach, but an incredible partner. And that makes it fun to go to work every day, even though, we're not in the spot where we want to be. So as of now, Austin's been here for a year. We're rolling, and this is just the next step in that journey. to get to where we ultimately want to get, which is, we want to get Danny and Will and everyone another ring. And so that's the process you're going to have to go through in the NBA. And I'm just grateful for everyone to go through it with us and, just get better and better from here on out.
Hi, Darren. Back here, Travis Green, ABC4. I'm curious, this past couple of days have probably been crazy for you at the draft. Now you're flying out to Utah. Just how would you describe these past couple of days have been for you?
It's been a lot of mixture of feelings. First feeling was like, wow, I'm super blessed to be in this position. Second feeling, when I went home, I worked out at my old high school. So just to see where I came from was another feeling. Then when I got here, like a wholesome feeling. When I got off the plane, the fans were out there yelling for me, cheering for me. So just like a warm welcome to home, and happy to be home now.
JP Chunga, UtahJazz.com. Austin, were you able to catch Darren in person? And if you were, what stood out apart from what you were able to glean on film about Darryn Peterson?
Yeah, saw a few times in person this year and through the years, seeing every game, I think, all the way through high school and college on film. Last week we were joking as a staff, we were watching the games and we could predict what was going to happen in every possession. We're like, all right, maybe we've seen enough of Darren at this point. He's a complete player, I think, is the part that makes us most excited. Obviously, he's just coming into the NBA and is going to have to fight and get better at every aspect, but he can drive left, he can drive right, he can shoot off the dribble, he can shoot off the catch, he can pass, he can guard. And so that makes him, from a guy who has to build a team, it makes it an easy guy to fit in because he can play with all sorts of different kinds of players, can run pick and roll, can run off the ball, can guard ones, can guard twos, maybe in a few months in the weight room, guard some threes. We're going to get there. And I know Coach is very excited to use all of those abilities and just see how it all fits with the rest of our talented guys.
Austin, speaking of those talented guys, how do you see Darren meshing with Keontae specifically in the backcourt? And also, Darren, are you a hockey fan? We saw Clayton Keller wish you some good wishes. Do you have any affiliation with any hockey team, or should I assume you're a Mammoth fan now?
I am now, yeah. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't before, but they told me it was big, so now I'm on board. I'm willing. I'm ready.
It's a great answer. I don't think it's that hard of a fit, Keontae and Darren. I think it's perfect fit. I think that you need multiple guys that can make plays off the dribble, make shots off the dribble, create for other guys. If you watch any of the teams in the playoffs, there's 2 and 3 and 4 guard lineups. We just need talent. We need guys that can make plays, and Darren's just one more guy that can help us.
Scott Gerard, KSL Sports. Austin, over the last several years, the development has been the number one priority. After the Triple J trade and now with Darryn Peterson, obviously development's still a priority, but now it's a winning mentality. It's about winning games and getting into the playoffs. Do you have any concern about the team being able to make that transition in that mindset?
Yeah, I think that we're so excited. These guys have been chomping at the bit, from Coach Hardy to Lowry to Key to Jaren. Everyone is so excited to kind of take that next step. We do have a lot of talent that hasn't played together, though. Obviously, Darren, Jaren didn't really get much with us. Walker missed the whole year. So we understand that it could be a bit of a process to figure it out, but the guys' mentality and their work ethic and their talent, I don't question. So we'll just have to see how that goes and work together and figure it out.
Darren, at the after the draft, you kind of said that you're a son, you're a man of faith, and all those things. Just because there's been so much online speculation about who you are, I'm just curious. All those kind of facets of your life, your parents, your family, your faith. How have they kind of allowed you to kind of get to this point, being the number 2 pick in the draft?
Yeah, everything I've been through throughout my whole life, whatever it is, I think it formed me and made me who I am today. And without those things, who knows if I'd be me. It's a lot of stuff that comes to mind when you say that. I've been through a ton of stuff, good and bad. But I don't know. I'd do them all again if I knew this was going to be the outcome, to be able to get drafted to a great organization, be the second pick, and see my number on the jersey today, getting that from Flip. So just all that stuff comes to mind. But I'm just super blessed to be here and have this opportunity.
Darryn, I think most importantly, we need to know what kind of dog and what the dog's name is.
Yeah, I got a Doberman, and his name is Denim. Yeah.
And then also, I think that a lot of your offense has been covered pretty thoroughly, but there has been a lot of discussion about your defense leading up to this day, and I want you to describe yourself as a defender and kind of how you hold yourself on that side of the ball.
Just describe myself as a defender. That's a good one. I think I would like to say I can be a lockdown defender. Obviously, I haven't guarded the best in the world yet, but I'm willing to take this challenge. 6'10" wingspan, I think that can help me a bit. And just my effort. Might not be the fastest guy or quickest guy, but my effort, I hope, will be able to take out some of that. I'm a Kobe guy, so he played both sides of the ball, and that's my idol, so I'm trying to lock down on defense.
Darren Chandler-Holt, KSL Sports, talked about sort of seeing the fans coming off the plane. I'm curious your first reactions of the city. You said you were here for a few days in high school, but now coming here in a new light. Anything stuck out to you?
Yesterday, I'm not gonna lie, it was a long day after the fans and the dinner. I walked Denham a little bit, so I seen a little bit, but I went to sleep. But when I was here in high school, I seen the mountains, took pictures in front of the mountains, me and the team, and a great city. So I'm willing and ready to explore it. And I heard fishing's a thing out here too, so I want to go get out somewhere and do some fishing.
David James, KSL Sports. Austin, what are you looking to add to the team now in the coming month?
It's a great question, David. I think we have a lot of what we need, but there's still some positions of depth that we can look, and we're talking with a bunch of people. That's my way of not really answering, DJ. I'm trying to add some stuff, but we'll see how that goes. But we're really confident in the group we have already, and just always looking to add and improve. Obviously, we don't have any centers under contract right now, so that will be one area for sure we'll work on.
Darryn, have you noticed how important it is to get out into the community? I know Ryan and Austin, the whole organization is very big on engaging with the fans. You might not be the most vocal guy, but how do you feel like you're going to bond with the fans when you're out and about?
I'm huge in the community. The vocal thing, I don't know. But yesterday with the fans, I feel like I was talking and fist bumping and doing good. So I think I'm definitely a good guy with kids and like being around kids. I got 2 younger siblings myself. And yeah, I'm big in the community. So I think I got something to do today. So I'm excited to get there and go greet some more people and say what's up to more kids and do whatever I got to do. But I'm excited to do it.
Darryn, maybe we can put a pin in the vocal thing, because I've heard you kind of discuss this before, where like on the court it's one thing, but off the court it's another. So do you kind of want to just
let's leave that behind. Yeah. But I'm about to go into something new. I'm gonna be vocal on court too. I'm just ready to transform for everybody.
I think he's doing these questions like a old pro. I think he's doing great with all the vocal stuff.
I mean, from my understanding, right, it's like off the court, around everyone, you're a normal vocal person, and on the court, you're more of like a quiet killer. Am I right in that assessment?
There it is. Just leave it right there.
Great.
Thank everybody for joining us today, and thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Darryn, for...
There you go. That is Darryn Peterson, as well as Utah Jazz president of basketball operations, Austin Ainge, and, of course, the owner, Ryan Smith, answering questions with the media for the first time. Alex, I don't know about you, but my initial takeaway is he's clearly sick of people talking about how freaking vocal he is or is not.
Right.
Shout out to Sarah Todd setting the record straight there at the end, but it's like... You would think this dude was a freaking mime,
yes,
based off some of these questions about, how vocal he is or isn't. He's a normal dude. Let's not act like he is this antisocial loner that narrative caught on before the draft. He's a normal dude.
Who put that out there to begin with?
I think it was something that he had said.
Right. And then he quickly, I think even in that the Monday sound that you guys played on your show, right, with him and his availability.
And the media availability, yeah.
Right. He quickly said, you know what, that's not the case.
He said, I misspoke. And people, of course, took that and ran with it, and it blew up to this whole thing. But
Absolutely. And I mean, obviously now it comes up in the press conference, and he clearly did not seem...
he's not awkward at all. Like, you
Right.
can see, even
Right.
with that interaction with Sarah Todd there at the end, like, he's clearly...
Wasn't awkward.
No, he knows how to handle himself. He jokes. He laughs. He's not a robot. He's a human being. He's funny. He can talk. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Scrolling through the chat, you and I were having some fun scrolling through the chat. 99.9% positive. There are a couple trolls in there. That's always how there's going to be on a YouTube chat. But
Yes.
I think it's safe to say that Utah is very excited to have Darryn Peterson here.
The fan base seems very excited. And I mean, to be quite frank, man, he seems excited to be here.
Yes.
Again, taking from just what you heard right now from Darryn Peterson and how obviously, right, he wanted to be the number one and not going number one, but immediately as soon as, the organization flies out to Canada and meets with him quickly, the conversation changes to we can go do something. I want to do something special here in the city of Utah. And you heard it there in that press conference, and I thought that was that again is very awesome. Darryn Peterson, without a doubt in my mind, will be a great fit for the Utah Jazz and for the Utah fan base.
And that was the immediate thought by everybody, not just people here in Utah, but, national voices of, we know the ceiling and the prospect that Darryn Peterson has, but on-court fit with this Utah Jazz team, he is a great fit.
Yes.
Because a week ago, we're talking about some of the needs that the Utah Jazz had going into not just the draft, but free agency and all that. And it's like, okay, they need another ball handler and they need some more shooting. And Darryn Peterson's both of that. So he is going to come in and fit right next to whether it's, Keontae George or Ace Bailey or however they figure out that rotation. He is a great fit for not just this Jazz starting five or roster, but also for Will Hardy's offense and what he likes to do as far as a lot of movement off ball and getting everybody involved and not letting one person kind of dribble too much. I can't wait to see that.
And I like the somebody asked them about his fit with Keontae George, right?
Yeah.
And how they were and how they would work together. And I thought Austin Age gave a great answer because that is possibly one of the concerns coming in with bringing in somebody another ball handler like Darryn Peterson in is how can Keontae George and Darryn Peterson coexist? And you heard it there from Austin. They want the talent, they need the talent, and there's no doubt in his mind that those two will work together well.
That's just fine.
And that's great, especially if again Keontae continues the steps in the progression that we saw Keontae George take this last season, and he can levy that into now fitting alongside with Darryn Peterson. I think that's a really really great trio, and of course, a duo, and of course that's not even considering the trio with Ace Bailey coming into the conversation as well.
And earlier we were talking about how much of an effort the Jazz are putting how much of an effort the Jazz are making to put Keontae George front and center everywhere. You see it here at this press conference.
He was in the front row.
Who's sitting right next to Coach Hardy?
Absolutely.
It's Keontae George.
Absolutely.
So it's very clear that there is no thought of needing to move Keontae George to make room for Darryn Peterson. That's a ridiculous narrative. And the only reason I bring it up is because I saw it so much online. That needs to be squashed immediately. I mean, Keontae is the guy right now for the Jazz. He's kind of the face of the team until Darryn Peterson takes that over, presumably, right? But Keontae is very clearly in well regards with the Jazz. They hold him very high. They want to involve him with everything.
And you need that leadership.
Right.
You need to have you need the leadership that he brings. He is one of it's crazy to think about this considering he's 22 years old.
This is third year, or he's going into his fourth year.
He is one of the veterans.
Yeah.
He is one of the the vocal leaders in that locker room. He is one of the guys one of those guys leading the younger guys. At just 22.
Yeah.
And so I think him and Darryn Peterson, Keontae and Darryn Peterson are going to work really well together. I'm excited to see what Will Hardy has planned for as far as having those two guys on the floor together, leading this team. And again, what that future looks like with them and Ace Bailey.
Great question there from DJ. Free agency starts next week. What are you guys looking at now with after acquiring Darryn Peterson? And Austin Ainge and Ryan, they didn't want to really tip their cap, but he flat out said, we don't have any centers under contract right now. So number one, I do think that the Walker Kessler deal is going to be resolved maybe before free agent starts. I don't have any intel. I'm just taking a shot. Like I would be surprised if they really let him test restricted free agency. I would think the Jazz want to tie that up quickly.
Sooner rather than later.
But then outside of Walker, you do need a backup 5. Whether you bring back Nurk, I kind of heard some rumblings that Nurk might be getting too expensive for the Jazz. Kevin Love might be wanting to reunite with LeBron James wherever that ends up going. So you might see a new face at the backup 5 this year. There are a couple of names out there. We'll see what ends up happening for the Jazz, but they're not going to be dead in free agency, for sure.
No, and especially when you have such a big question at the 5, a question that needs to be answered, right, where it is the Walker Kessler contract. It is, I think in an ideal world, you would like to pair up Walker and Yusuf Nurkic as your 1 and your 2.
Yeah.
But if it is the case where Nurkic is getting a little too expensive and you're not able to bring him back, that's unfortunate, but I'm sure that Austin H has something up his sleeve to bring in somebody who can fill in that role. Because you need centers. It's just
these guys have a plan B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I...
Every letter conceivable in the alphabet.
Maybe twice.
Maybe even double A's.
Yeah.
Who knows? But hearing from Darryn Peterson and hearing that line that he said when he puts on the uniform, he's not putting it on for himself,
yes,
but for the community and the fans as well. That was, again, everything you want to hear from your guy who's going to come in and be your face of the franchise for the next couple of years for somebody who's going to come in and what you hope is going to be somebody who elevates this Utah Jazz team into something more. That's exactly the type of quotes. That's exactly the type of soundbite you want to hear from Darryn Peterson.
All right, let's take a break. Coming up next on the other side, we will wrap this thing up and get our final thoughts on Darryn Peterson landing in Utah and some of the other quotes he gave from this press conference. We are going to have that all cut up and posted on our podcast feeds here shortly. So if you missed any of it, you'll be able to find it wherever you get your podcasts or right over there on KSLSports.com. Stick with us. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles, thank you for making us a part of your weekend. Normally I say morning, but it's 12:30 now. Just got done listening to Darryn Peterson's introductory press conference for the Utah Jazz. A lot of takeaways there. A lot of the same stuff that he's been saying on Monday and Tuesday, but I think the main point is that he's happy to be here in Utah. I think that's very palpable. Alex, you kind of pointed that out in the last segment. He's excited to be here. He recognizes how big of a deal he is to this Jazz team as far as kind of being the ticket out of the rebuild, right? And now it's full send to the playoffs.
Absolutely. One of the things too that I was thinking about during the break was the question that was asked of him of what he looks forward to showing the most in the NBA. And as far as the basketball goes, right, we talk about his attitude, we talk about him, wanting to be here. But as far as the basketball of it goes, he mentioned his two-way ability and his playmaking, and I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most when it comes to watching Darryn Peterson and how he transitions into the NBA level. Right, he has elite shot making. His ball handling is something that the Jazz needed, and that's what he's going to ultimately bring with some playmaking. But the defense too, man. If you can allow Walker Kessler to be cleaning things up inside the paint and bring in a guy that I think can be a really, really phenomenal perimeter defender for the Utah Jazz. Like this is a Jazz team that we talked about last season. Obviously didn't show the best defensively, but when you have the combination that you have now with of course involving Jaren Jackson Jr. and Larry Markkinen, I'm really excited to see what this team looks like defensively, man. And now you add Darryn Peterson, who I think has phenomenal potential at being a two-way playmaker and being an incredible perimeter defender. I'm excited to see what all that looks like.
Well, because it's been so bad the last few years.
Right.
I mean, consistently, the Jazz have been towards the bottom of the NBA. And again, you have to emphasize that a lot of that was on purpose, right? A lot of that was on purpose. A lot of it was also kind of a side effect of playing so many young players, getting used to the NBA. So many guys that were never asked to be defenders like a Keontae George, or so many guys like a Cody Williams who wants to be a good defender, but he physically couldn't yet, right?
Right.
And then Walker Kessler being injured and yada, 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 yada. I have no doubt in my mind that immediately playing a full season with Walker Kessler and Tripp, you're a top 15 defense. You draft Darryn Peterson, and if he really, truly can be a two-way player, you're looking at a top 12, maybe top 10 defense in the NBA. I don't think that is too much to ask of this squad. You heard, I think it was Ben that asked Austin and Ryan about this team taking the next step now after, oh no, it was Scotty that asked it. Because they've been in the quote-unquote rebuild the last 4 years, tanking. We'll call it like it is. They've been tanking the last 4 years. Are there any concerns about the team kind of flipping that switch and making a push for the playoffs? And Ryan said, you know what? No, there's no concern. You look at guys like Lowry who are hungry for it. Like, they've been here asked to put up with that nonsense, right?
Right.
They just want to get out there and play, man.
Right. And, I think a lot of people look at Lowry and hope that there's another level to be unlocked with Lauri Markkanen. I mean,
yeah,
when he came in and the All-Star game was here in Salt Lake, he obviously makes that All-Star game, but you haven't seen Lowry really reach those levels, whether that be, again, because of injuries, whether that be, on purpose with holding him out to make sure that the Jazz are in a spot where they can focus on the youth movement. I think that there is still another level that can be and probably will be unlocked with Lauri Markkanen, moving him over to the 3, focusing now on working alongside Jaren Jackson Jr., working alongside Walker Kessler, Keontae George, and obviously Darren at the guard positions. I still think that there is the well of what Lauri Markkanen is. I don't think it's fully tapped yet.
Yeah.
And now you take the reins off, you take off the restrictions, and obviously you watch him to make sure that he's in a spot where he can make it through the season healthy, because health is going to be a big question, I think, for the Jazz throughout the course of the entire NBA season, as it is for every other team.
Yeah.
And
that's not just a Darryn Peterson thing.
Right. It's not just a Darryn Peterson. It's with everybody, right?
Yeah.
You hear it all the time. This is so-and-so team who can make it to the NBA championship if healthy. There's always that if healthy at the end. And I can say the same thing for the Jazz right now. This is a Jazz team who I think has a really, really incredibly high ceiling if they can stay healthy. But again, the positive is that you have so much talent on this roster that you have that ability to make sure that Lowry is in a spot where he can finish the season, hopefully again, in a spot where he can be ready to roll for the playoffs. Same thing can be said about Jaren Jackson Jr. and everybody else on that roster, because you have the young guys. We talked about it earlier. They've drafted well. They've got good depth right now.
I do wonder what the bumps are going to look like, because there are going to be bumps, right? But like, you look at San Antonio, this was their first playoff push, and they go all the way to the freaking finals, right?
Yeah.
And
relatively healthy.
And in this era of the NBA, you're not seeing really the developmental years in the playoffs, and then, okay, now here's your window, here you go. The Thunder got really good really fast. The Spurs, again, really good really fast. As far as the rest of the West, I mean, we had questions with Minnesota earlier. Los Angeles, who knows what's going on with the Lakers and the Clippers for that matter. Houston seems to be a mess. Phoenix is not ready to take the next step. Like, all of these other playoff teams in the West, you look and it's like, if everything goes right for the Jazz, I would not be surprised if they are a top 4 seed in the Western Conference playoffs next year.
That should be exciting for Jazz fans.
Yes.
Because everything around them is not only from what's happening inside the organization with the moves that they've made, with the decisions that they've made, but everything around them seems to be falling into the right spots at the right time. Obviously, there is the juggernaut that is Oklahoma City Thunder. There is the young up-and-coming team that is the San Antonio Spurs. But aside from that, I mean, what's going to happen to Denver? What's going to happen to Minnesota now that they have LaMelo Ball LaMelo Ball? I get them mixed up. What's going to happen now that LeBron is leaving the Lakers? Do they take a step forward? Do they take a step back?
A lot of questions everywhere else.
A lot of questions, right? But that's a good thing for the Utah Jazz. Obviously, there's still an offseason for moves to be made, but it does seem like the cards are falling into the right spots for Utah at this moment.
And we'll close with this. I mean, it's very clear that for the first time in 4 years, Jazz fans have something to look forward to this season.
Oh, you can feel
when
the
the
hype,
season
man.
tips off, and everybody is excited.
You can feel the hype. You can feel the hype online. I mean, you saw it on draft night. The crowd that showed up to the party down there at Southtown was absolutely phenomenal. Jazz fans, this season's for you. It feels like this season, this is a culmination of the youth movement, the tanking, everything that you've been through the last 4 years to get to this point, to get to Darryn Peterson. This season's for Jazz fans. So go out there and enjoy it.
Wheels up, man.
Absolutely. Let's
Wheels
go.
up. It's going to be a fun season, and we're going to be here for all of it, of course, as the home of the Jazz. That starts next week with Salt Lake City Summer League, and then it's going to go on to Vegas Summer League, then a bit of a break before the preseason. But I can't wait to see Darryn Peterson officially suited up for the Jazz next week in that Salt Lake Summer League. Going to be so much fun. Then, of course, playoffs next year.
Playoff environment at Delta Center, man. I think everybody here is wanting it and looking forward to it.
All right, thanks to everybody who stuck around with us for an extra 45 minutes today. A lot of fun carrying that presser. Again, we are going to have that posted online wherever you get your podcasts or on KSLSports.com. Next week we'll be back. No, next week we'll be off because it is the 4th of July. No show next week. We will be back in 2 weeks.
Enjoy your holidays. Enjoy your holiday. Everybody be safe. Be smart.
Don't burn the state down.
Yeah. Be safe.
Be smart.
Yes. Thanks
Thanks
Sean.
for sticking with us. Thank you, Sean, for producing. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.